Okay, so welcome to Mr. Dang, and if you don't mind, I just call you Luk, right?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thanks
So
for
Luk,
having me.
yeah. So big round of applause for Luk, Mr. Dang Tai Luk.
Okay.
So like Lin said, right, all of us would have come across one of his outlets or more, no? So in my area, I think within 500 meters, there are 2 or 3 already, right? You see them sometimes in LRT stations, you see them in malls and all that, no? So obviously, it's a very interesting business. It's also listed on the main board,
Yes.
right? And obviously, being a retail sector, his business will have been affected by the COVID, right?
Very much.
But he has also recovered or on the road to recovery. And this is where you have a resilient business, no? Something that can withstand the COVID crisis, the MCO lockdowns and all that for 2 years. So I think we have a few things to learn from him. Yeah?
Hopefully.
Okay. So look, maybe you could start by just telling us a bit about your background. How did you get into this? I understand you come from a corporate background, no? So maybe go ahead.
Sure. Peter was telling me that the audience is made up of captains of the industry. I think we should change role. I should be listening to you. Yes, a bit of my background before I moved to corporate world. I was born in a new village in Ayatawa. Anybody who, new village is quite standard everywhere, small village.
Anyone knows where Ayatawa is?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, with less than 500 houses. My parents were rubber tappers. My grandparents were rubber tappers. My uncles, aunties from the maternal side, paternal side, they were all rubber tappers. So that's my kind of background. So looking back, it is kind of an unlikely thing for me to be sitting here to speak as a CEO. If not for the audacity of my parents, who worked very hard and dump in every dollar that they make from their blood and sweat into our education. So that's what made us today. After graduation, I joined the corporate world, beginning with a bank. I was from an IT background. But all along, since very young, I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Because I truly felt that becoming an entrepreneur will help me to break away from hardship, from a chain of, rubber tapping, poor family. So the desire to be an entrepreneur has always been in me. One day, about 10 years into my career, I came across a small retail lot together with my wife in one Utama shopping complex, in the basement of one Utama shopping complex. So it was a small lot, 200 square feet, and the lot was vacant. The complex was already open, but the lot was vacant. So I started checking, and I took down the lock, like asked that, can I take it down to open a business? So that was when 2 weeks later, I was called up and say, yes, you can take it, but we'll give you 24 hours to decide because someone else is waiting for it. So that lot was designated to be a news agent. You cannot do anything else but sell newspapers and magazines. So the desire to be an entrepreneur, or the motivation to be an entrepreneur, was what it took me to become an entrepreneur when the opportunity struck. But the nature of business was by accident, because I could not do anything else but to sell newspapers. I cannot. You know how shopping complexes work. This is for news agent. You want to take it down, you sell newspapers. So I was basically I was the only Chinese news agent at that time, because when a business has no Chinese taking it up, that means that business cannot make money. Are you aware? But I was also hungry for business. So there was a bit of background.
So maybe you could tell us from there, what were some of the teething problems or challenges and how did you overcome them, no? I'm sure there were plenty of early challenges.
Challenges were many, but I think it is beneficial to share with you some of the important ones. What Peter said was most of you are SMEs. So to start off, I did not have much money. We were poor. So without money, only hard work is able to grow and sustain your company. So that's what we did. Work very hard. Family members, me, my wife, my brothers, we worked very hard. So that was the big challenge. But the bigger challenge is from the industry itself. We were in a very chaotic, traditional, primitive industry, selling newspapers. That industry was never updated. At the time when I joined, there was no display shelves, there was nothing, But the worst is nobody trusts anybody. The trust factor was absolutely zero. If you can measure it with negative, the trust factor was actually negative. Nobody trusts anyone. So that makes it very, very difficult. Pay first before you get the goods. When you call up, or you get somebody to call up to get more magazines, they will say, no, increase your deposit first. I said, give more to me. No, what if you close and you go back to India? I said, I'm not from India, But this is a real story. It's not racist. It's not racist. I'm telling you the story in verbatim. That's the kind of thing that they answer you. Because at that time it was very chaotic. Nobody is to blame. Everybody worked hard. So supply chain was horrible. They can dump and walk out. After that, you count. The quantity is short. And then what do you do? So those in this business can sympathize with us. So what do? We quickly innovate. We come out with MyNEWS.com, make it into a modern newsstand, put the newspapers on the rack, put the magazines on the rack, make it nice. But more than that, the most important thing
roughly
was...
what time was this? This is 10 years ago?
In 1996 was our first store. So 1997, we had the first MyNEWS.com. 1996, we call it Mag Beat. So it was like really magazine mag. So the change, later I read a book called Blue Ocean that was published after our business commencement. So whatever change that we made was actually a Blue Ocean strategy. So we actually reframed the whole industry. We reframed. Why do I call it reframe? Because we influenced the industry to do it our way. In a sense that we computerize it, we throw in technology, we throw in SOPs, we made a central warehouse for them to deliver goods to the central warehouse instead of to the shop. To make it more accountable, someone is there to count it. And we created a website where we blast the bestseller and all those so that to make it happening. So we actually influenced how things were done. And at the back, we did incremental changes, change the shelves, change the lightings, change the floor, and all this. But then behind the scene, actually we did a lot of cleaning up of the whole supply chain. So that's how we were able to carry on and survive.
Okay. So look, maybe tell us how from one outlet in one Utama, you expanded, and how did you scale up and how did you expand?
The scaling...
Stage 1, stage 2 or whatever.
Oh, okay. From the time we have our first store until our IPO in 2016, it was all organic growth. It was all internally generated fund. Again, we did not have much money, so we plow back whatever we make. We just work hard and grow from one store to the other. That was how what we have been doing. In 1996 December, that was our first store. 10 years later, our 100th store, 100 store. So it took us 10 years to do 100 stores. Today we can do it in 1 year. After the IPO, then things start to move faster. At the time of IPO, we had between 250 to 300 stores. During the year of IPO, we touched 300 stores. Then the following year, we started to partner with Japanese, 2017, Japanese to build a large-scale food processing center. First in Malaysia, large-scale food processing center. Within the same year, our competitor, Family Mart, came into Malaysia. So we were busy constructing the FPC to catch up the food trend, fast food trend in convenience store, while the Japanese brand came in. And then 2019, of course, we were hit by pandemic, and that's when we brought in CU from Korea, CU brand from Korea. And the same year, we created MyNEWS Super Value to serve the new norm customers where they want essential items close to them. So that was more or less our milestone. WH Smith was 2012, so I missed that. Yeah. In between, we opened WH Smith at the airport. Many people do not know the WH Smith store at the airport. They are all operated by us. It's a partnership with WH Smith UK.
Okay. Excellent. Maybe you could tell us the kind of contribution from what they call the CU stores or the food, what do you call it? Food Technology Center, right?
We call it Food Processing Center.
Food Processing Center, sorry. Versus the rest of your retail. Would it be half-half or still growing? Or?
Okay, CU is food-centric. That means when you walk in, you see a lot of food, fresh food. We call it ready to eat and counter food. So that is about 60 to 70% of what we sell at the shop. Whereas MyNEWS is very much towards the dry merchandises. So tobacco, beverages, Maggi Mee, snacks, candies, pharmaceutical products. So those kind of things. So CU is a lot of food, and it's also helping to increase the capacity of our FPC.
Maybe then, look, you could share with us one or two milestones. When you started to scale up, and how did you scale up? Was it after the IPO or even before the IPO? Was it the tie-up with the what do you call the Korean and Japanese food people, or was it something else?
In terms of store number, the comparison is not apple to apple, because before the pandemic, the year before the pandemic, we did 96 new stores. So that was our largest number. The following year, we wanted to go above 100, but we were struck with pandemic. So that's the way it was. But then through the pandemic, because of lockdown, full lockdown, you cannot go out, you cannot work, your contractors cannot work. Throughout the whole period of pandemic, which is close to 2 years, we opened 104 new stores. But at the same time, we closed equal number of stores. We also closed 100 stores, the badly affected ones. So net, we did not grow. So today, all the three brands added up, we are standing at 560 stores, which was the pre-pandemic level. So before IPO, it was organic, adding on. When we really wanted to grow fast, pandemic struck. But the FPC is something to shout, because it is a large-scale food processing center. Yeah, we spend quite a lot of money into that. I think one of our competitors is doing it now as well. Yeah, because at certain level, at certain scale of your business, you need it. But the gestation period, the startup, is what is very taxing. Yeah, because depreciation, the cost of running, operating before the volume picks up. But then if you don't have it, you can't serve so many stores and so many customers.
What gave you the brightness of future to go and invest, in the early stages where you were growing with, I guess, bootstrap and your own funds and all that? What gave you the brightness of future?
Sorry, again?
What gave you the brightness of future that, this thing can grow and expand? Given that you didn't have much financing in the early days, no?
So the financing is one question that has been repeatedly asked because of pandemic, because of CU brand, because of FPC. So we do have various venues. Of course, as a PLC, from the capital market, we can raise that. We can get funding from the banks, borrowings and all those. Our gearing ratio is at 0.3 at this point in time, so it's very low. And then, being rather on a conservative side, we did not look into this in the middle of pandemic or in the beginning of pandemic like the others. That pandemic is striking us. We need more money. We raise it, so we were holding back. But we are working on it. We are working very hard on it. Okay. Yeah. So it's not a situation where this company has no money, they're done with, but it is for growth, for expansion. We need it for new outlets, not for the existing business that we can run healthily.
Okay. All right. Look, so coming from a corporate background, right, has that been an advantage or disadvantage, in your journey as an entrepreneur? I tell you why, right? Because a lot of my coaching clients, they come to me and they're fantastic entrepreneurs. They work really crazy hours. They're very hardworking, blah, blah, blah. But they're not so good when it comes to management, no? And when a business grows, you do need to have some management skills. So that's the reason I asked.
I think it's an advantage. Any experience is an advantage. But it is very different. It is very different. First and foremost, when you switch from a corporate guy to an entrepreneur, you must be ready to roll up your sleeves. You have to leave your corporate ego by the door. There's no way you can carry it. In fact, even your family members, your wife especially, has to change. Because for example, my wife, every morning she would see me walk out the window or walk out the door, nicely dressed in long sleeve. Now I don't wear long sleeve. I actually wear MyNEWS t-shirt, but I was. So I walk out the door, and she didn't even have to work. She was just there doing some housework and waiting for me to come back. Long sleeve, iron by her, nice leather briefcase. And then suddenly, I become a newspaper man. To a point where I actually send newspapers door to door every morning within a complex. And not only that, she would join me to do it as well. So early in the morning, she would say, "Hey, it's not suitable for you, man." Because she used to see me that way, and now see me distributing newspapers door to door. And I, on the other hand, seeing her pregnant with huge stomach, then my son is there. He was pregnant in the stomach. And I say, "You are pregnant, you cannot be carrying such a big pile of newspapers." So that kind of mindset, you must be ready, you must be prepared. Otherwise, you cannot be an entrepreneur. Okay. And then paycheck. Paycheck is the last thing that you last thing in your mind. Okay. The mission of an entrepreneur is to make change, to bring new ideas to the market. And the reward is obviously more pleasing than getting a paycheck. When you see the success along the journey of what you have done, the changes you have made, the new ideas that you put in and see it working, that is very rewarding. And the byproduct will be your paycheck. that would be very handsome. That would be, that can be quite a bit. So that is basically the mindset of the entrepreneur. But bear in mind, if you don't have the grit, if you're not ready to work hard, especially in a startup, you're not cut to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur really need to carry the passion and perseverance. And it's needed most during the worst time. You've got to keep going and going, even when the going gets tough. Just like the recent pandemic. If you don't have that grit in you, you tend to give up.
That's G-R-I-T, not G-R-E-D, okay?
Grit. Yeah, you will give up. You will give up. So I think as entrepreneur, you will know what I mean. You know, it's like nobody understand me. Nobody can understand me. You know, it's not easy. Yeah, it's not an objective question where you take the answer great. It is like you can really feel it. You can really, you know,
feel the passion.
Yeah, you have to keep going and going and going and going, even when the going gets tough.
Yep. This is the famous fall down 7 times, get up 8 times kind of thing, right? Get knocked down, but don't get knocked out.
Well, you can get up 11 times, even better.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So going forward, where do you? I mean, what I understand reading from newspaper reports and all that is, financially, you guys went through a couple of quarters of losses because of the pandemic, right?
Yes.
But those are being reduced drastically, and you probably see going back to the black very soon, right? So what were some of the focus areas that you looked at to get you back to the above the red line?
Going back to the black very soon, and all those are not from me. It may be from the news or somebody. We are working very hard. We are on a path to recovery, but the loss last year was quite big, 40 to 50 million ringgit losses. We never had that before. But after going through that worst quarter, that was fourth quarter of last year. It was the worst. We are seeing sales to be improving. We are now at about 80% of our pre-pandemic revenue. Things are coming back. But like what I say in BFM radio interview, doing business is not on and off switch. Even recovery will take a while. You know, you have to sort out problems, and new problems come into the picture. Not enough labor, raw material prices increasing. You know, so we do our best. We do our best.
Now you start off by telling us that innovation was got you up in the beginning when the industry was very backward, right?
Yes.
So I guess the continuation of innovation continues, and also the role of marketing. So maybe you could tell us a bit about the role of marketing in your journey to growth, your pathway to growth. Marketing and innovation, what's their role? What's the role there?
Before I go into marketing, since Peter touched on innovation, I was a very you cannot find another business that is smaller than a news agent. Truly selling newspapers one copy at a time. Before we go into marketing, I want to share with SMEs this: don't get carried away, or don't get scared by the term innovation. The way the country leaders put it, the way the big organization put it, like innovation needs a lot of money. Innovation is like under what 10th Malaysian plan and all those. Innovation is just the word change. The word change. You can start. The moment you start changing and you consistently change, that is innovation. What we did was, instead of hanging the periodicals from the ceiling and at the post, we put it on the shelf, made the shelf nicer. Instead of having piles and piles of newspapers on the floor, we put it on the rack. That was innovation. The continual change make us, MyNEWS store as the nicest newsstand in this whole region, not only in Malaysia, in the whole region. That was innovation. And that's what brought us today. So nowadays, of course, marketing innovation involves social media, our CRM. We do have a very good CRM, our e-wallet, loyalty apps, constant engagement with the customers and all that. We are the first to have e-wallet loyalty apps of all the CVS in the country. So we do all that. Whatever there is an enabler for us to engage with the customers, we get into it. Yeah, it is very important, of course.
Okay, good. So running 500 over stores, and there must be an organization of thousands, right? Plus the FPC and all that. Can you tell us a bit about your management style and your leadership philosophy and all that?
My style. I don't have an MBA background, so there will not be jargons. It's very simple, very open, no protocol. I work side by side with our team, so you can call that leadership by example if you want. There's really no gap between me and my team members. I don't even have an office. I have a desk. We are very sensitive. We are very sensitive to the needs of the staff. Sincere, accountable. So these are the basis. And then we always encourage criticism. We like criticism, even from the customers. I think if you read the book by Jack Welch, Winnings, he said the biggest little secrets of lack of candor. The lack of candor is a biggest little secret of a business or something like that. Like if you don't let people criticize, you block ideas. So yeah, so we encourage people to criticize. We even encourage our customers to criticize. At one time, we reward customers who send in complaints. Yeah. Well, we did that for a long time, and I can tell you a joke out of it. Several years ago, whenever a customer complained, we send them 30 ringgit of vouchers. But in the end, it has gotten too many. Not because we cannot afford it, but we noticed that when we were late, when it has gotten too many, we will be getting complaints like, how come this time there is no voucher? so we knew that the complaint is fake. Yeah. So it did not have any value. So that is our type of culture. So we encourage staff to be open and to be critical. But of course, there are certain fundamentals that we have to be very serious about. Things like follow the law. Whether it is foreign workers or locals, you just follow the law. The law is always right. Even though if it is a bad law, it is right. You cannot be wrong, or you cannot be wrong by following the law. And then, if you want to run a long-term company, for it to grow, do away with things like discrimination, racial thing, gender, whatever it is. Just get it off your back. Leave it to the politicians, because they can twist and turn. We cannot. And be sincere about it. It's nothing about Malay, Chinese, or Indian. Nothing about male or female. Just run a proper company. For that culture, for that kind of management, easier management, you have to do it. You don't want to get into that kind of,
sleepless nights and all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that differentiation, right? Everybody can work, everybody can do whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can see from there, right? So a lot of innovative thinking differently, and also thinking straight, yeah? What I mean by thinking straight is, he says follow the law. The law can never be wrong. Could be a bad law, but it's the law, right? So let's be law abiding. And I like that phrase, no? Leave the discrimination to the politicians. Yeah, we are good businessmen. We are sincere. We do things the right way. We do things that are right. We build our character, and we look after the welfare of our team. So I guess maybe I could find out from you what's your secret to leadership. No, how do you build your team? Because I guess you can't just rely on yourself, right?
It's all about team. There is no such thing as one person can do it or can build up a company or institution. Whether we use I or we, it is about team. It's definitely about team. For a start, it's within the family, but along the way, it is about the whole team. But I think there's certain things about leadership. Maybe it's you need certain kind of foresight and vision to prevent downfall. Things like this. A lot of businesses fail not because of the business itself, because of emotion, because of so many things. Family businesses, not many can last. Leadership in a family business is toughest. Managing emotion is very, very tough. Managing business is easier than managing emotion. That's the toughest thing to do. And from my personal experience, I would very much like to share with you SMEs. I know Malaysia is all about SMEs. I know how difficult it is, the journey is, since you're already here, since I'm asked to share. Two things that helped me to grow this family business for 25 years. And I'm ready to step back. Now it's a public listed company. Number one is, if you want to be a leader, you must be ready to sacrifice in a family business. When I say sacrifice, it is real sacrifice. I'm the number 4th in the family. You must be humble enough. You must be humble enough towards the older siblings. But you must also be smart enough to how to maneuver. I can give you a very simple example. Like for a start, let's say, you try to be nice. You try to be consensus driven. So every small decision of a small family business, you'll be consulting each and every family members, especially your Taiko. But very soon you will realize that consensus actually is always at odds or clashes with intelligent decisions. Because some of them that you try to seek consensus, they never put thought into what you have been working on for the last 2 months. But at the point when you consult them, they say, no, don't do it. Then what do you do if he's your older brother? What do you do? If I can use you are F, isn't it? You move ahead, you make somebody unhappy. You don't move ahead, it's like, I've been working on this for 3 months. So in actual fact, the decision is actually up to the executives who runs the company, those who are active and working on it. By just engaging with the executives, you eliminate a lot of problems and you're able to move faster. So that kind of differentiation is actually professionalism. The faster you can move a family business to make it professional, the faster is your success. My passion to convert, or rather to move towards professionalism, it was intense. It was so intense that halfway through my journey, my wife left the company because I told her to leave. And she left crying. I can still remember the scene when she sat at the edge of a bed and then she started crying, and why do I have to leave? What did I do wrong? And it didn't take her long to realize my intention, my good intention when she saw the growth of the company. So immediately when you make the company professional, instead of you say, I say, my sister-in-law say, my wife say, it now becomes the auditors say, the accountants say, the lawyers say, I don't know anything. That is the right way. I mean, that is the way to go, you know. The faster you can change that, you balance out. You balance out the family. I'm not saying that family is bad. Our family is good. It is always, especially in our culture, it's always about family. But if you can strike that kind of balance, move towards that direction with the support of the family and with professionalism and the respect for all this expertise and opinion, you will see how it just eliminate a lot of problems and then just move you up. That is my personal experience, my very honest sharing about what I did to drive a newsstand to MyNEWS.
Yeah, it's quite something, right? If you can get your wife to leave your company and still be your wife, it's quite something, right?
I wanted to say that. Yeah, still my wife and only one. Still hasn't run away.
Fantastic. Yeah. I'm going to ask you maybe a sensitive question, and you can choose not to answer it. No.
Sure.
Because recently I read that someone has been, I think probably your brother, right, has been elevated to executive chairman. So has that changed anything, or is that planned, or whatever? I'm not sure.
I'm happy that you asked. I'm happy that you asked that question. I've forgotten the whole thing. He's not my brother. Okay. He's not my brother. It's very surprising.
Just happen to share the same surname, is it?
No same surname. His is Ding, D-I-N-G. Mine is Dang. Okay. So he has been our independent chairman since IPO. So if you read his background, he was a CFO. He was a CEO. Somebody who was a financial controller, who worked for MBF Finance, you know MBF Group, who was in OSK, board of OSK. So somebody with that kind of background and credential, and his integrity, his credibility is well known in the market. Yeah, he carries a wealth of experience and knowledge, especially in the area of finance. So converting him from an independent non-executive chairman to become an executive chairman, to be involved in our management, can you imagine what we are having? So of course, laymen, some of my friends are asking, hey, how can you give away such a position, you know, not for yourself, but for someone else to be executive chairman? But we are all in for the better of the company. I mean, it's not something about honor. I mean, it's not a self-interest thing. It is for the company. Why not? So we found the right guy, or we found the right person to assist us in managing the company. So it's truly an independent outsider who is now our executive chairman.
Okay, fantastic. So that's a demonstration of professionalism, real determination to try and corporatize the company, and basis on merit, not on anything else, not on family ties, but on merit, right? Fantastic. So I think that on that ground, we should give a round of applause, no? Okay, we're not over yet. So, look, maybe you could share with us what are your future plans. Do you plan to go regional or further expansion, or bring in more foreign brands? Or
future plan is simple and straightforward. We are in convenience store, and this is the only thing we do. We don't have any other thing, no spare part or other businesses. We will continue to grow the number of stores. So now we will be very focused on CU, the Korean brand, and also MyNEWS Super Value. MyNEWS Super Value is a larger format store, 2,000 square feet, where we sell more essential items, day-to-day needs. And that's when you know, the new norm customers, they always like to get something close to their proximity, close proximity where they live. You can pick up rice, eggs, or whatever it is. So we will be very focused on these two brands to continue to grow. Regional, no, not yet, not at the moment, even though we are, sometimes we tickle here and there a bit, but very focused domestically because we want to continue to grow, and it's getting very competitive, as you know. New entrants, and also the existing brands are also getting very innovative. Yeah.
So tell us what's your uniqueness. How do you stay different from the 7-Elevens and the Family Marts and all the other guys who are? Yeah, it's very competitive, right?
It's very competitive. Yeah. Our uniqueness is because we are homegrown. MyNEWS is a CVS local brand, but yet we are also international. WH Smith is from UK, CU is from Korea. So we are successfully running these international brands, and we are offering a local brand that is of international standard. Our FPC, the food that you see in MyNEWS, in CU, go to Tokyo today, and you cannot claim that the food there is better than what you see in our store, because our FPC is operated by the Japanese. Partnership with the Japanese is run by them. Ingredients, whatever, is by them. Oh yes. And then the other aspect is, of course, the others are catching up, because you hear my sad story, how I started the family business, inch by inch. Because of that, we had to do everything ourselves. We had to do everything ourselves. So today, those things become our strength. So it's not like a brand that is flown in, like CU Korea today, we fly in from Korea, or another brand fly in from Japan. We built it for 20 over years. That's why we have our own fleet of logistic trucks. We do our own delivery. We have our own distribution center. We have our own FPC. We have our own computer system. Our point of sale system is our own. We do our own store design. We supervise our own renovation. We do a lot of things ourselves in-house because of what we have built over the last 20 over years. So that is what differentiates. That's what differentiates us from the others. We are the best equipped CVS in the country. Of course, the perception of a local brand is always a perception of a local brand, but we are more than that.
Okay. I was going to ask you the question about collaboration. I'm not sure whether it's still relevant since you do everything yourself, no?
Oh.
Are you open to collaboration with other parties?
Anything that can add value, we are. Of course, it will not be something that is, don't ask us to build houses, you know. If you ask us to invest in your food production, that you have some really good food that you can sell in MyNEWS, you know, why not? You know, super nice curry rice that we don't have, why not? You know, things that can add value.